What if you could put the screen from your phone into a Gameboy Pocket? You can, and I'm gonna show you how right now. What's up guys, Luke back again with another mod video. And last time we did any Game Boy mods on this channel, we did the original Game Boy DMG. It turned out amazing, and it's the #1 thing that I like to show new customers when they come into the game store looking at Game Boy stuff. It really does give these old consoles new life and makes them a viable option for playing original Game Boy games on original hardware in 2020. But what if you have a Game Boy Pocket, not a DMG? Today, I'm gonna show you how to do the same mod that we did with the DMG Game Boy on the Game Boy Pocket. What gets me really excited is this mod is relatively straightforward. It doesn't require any case modification and only requires 2 easy solder points. But I believe with some basic tools and a little bit of patience, you can pull this one off at home. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel, and most of all, watch closely. Let's do this!
So the first thing that I did when starting this mod was open up the kit itself. I got my kit from retromodding.com, link in the description, and it comes with a couple of things. You have the bracket that's labeled left, right, and top, and you also get the LCD itself and the board that makes the connection from the LCD to the original Game Boy Pocket motherboard. So the first thing that I did when doing this was pull out the game and remove the 2 batteries from the Game Boy Pocket. I then proceeded to remove the 6 tri-wing screws from the back of the Game Boy. Once those are out, the bottom part of the shell just slides right off. The next thing that I did was remove the original LCD screen from the connector on the Game Boy motherboard with a pair of tweezers. I then proceeded to remove the 3 Phillips screws from the motherboard of the Game Boy that fixes the motherboard to the chassis. Once those 3 screws were removed, it was time to remove the motherboard. I did that by pinching the cartridge connector and pulling straight up, and then it was down to just removing all the little silicone lobies and buttons and doodads and thingamajigs. Once all the thingamajigs and doodads were put to the side, I then popped the LCD clamp out with a little flat tool that I had laying around in the store. It was then time to snap our little bracket pieces into place. I then put on some surgical gloves and had at it. I put my new LCD in between that bracket, which fitted a little snugger than I would like. I then opened the 3rd package of this kit, which included the motherboard that makes the connection between the new LCD and the old Game Boy motherboard. It also came with a piece of clear tape that I'm assuming goes on the back of the LCD so that it doesn't ground out with this motherboard here. I then lifted up the connector with a pair of tweezers to connect the new LCD to the motherboard. I then connected the new LCD's ribbon into the connector of the motherboard and flipped it around and pinned it in place. I then put the original Game Boy's motherboard back down on top of the new motherboard that is going to make the connection between the new LCD and the old motherboard, holding it as long as I could so that it didn't swim out of place when I set the old motherboard back down. It was then time to take the 3 Phillips screws that we unscrewed earlier and screw those back in. I then took the new ribbon cable that was attached to the new motherboard and connected it to the old Game Boy's ribbon connector. I then took the brightness touch sensor and neatly wrapped it around and tucked it in next to the extension port. There are a couple of points that you have to solder from the ribbon cable to the original Game Boy motherboard, and in order to do that, I use Ultra Nerd Vision! I then applied flux to both of the points in the ribbon cable. I then connected my 3.3 volt and ground wire! I then trimmed up the red wire and connected it to the very left leg of this power switch. Once that was done, I cleaned up all my solder points and disengaged Nerd Vision. Sorry about that. And for the last part, I just took that bottom shell that we had taken off earlier and put it back on and began to screw the 6 tri-wing screws back into the shell. Put the batteries in, throw a game in, and then it was time for the moment of truth.
The Game Boy Pocket, a lot like the original Game Boy, was a console that I had no interest in before this mod. But with this mod, I can revisit this console and not feel like I'm sacrificing quality and comfort for nostalgia. I do prefer the IPS screen that is on the original Game Boy that we modded earlier. However, the kit for the original Game Boy is about $30 more expensive and requires modification to the case or the purchase of a new shell that is designed for the LCD mod. With that being said, the Game Boy Pocket TFT screen is no slouch in the quality department. The pixels are sharp and the brightness of the screen great for play indoors, while play outdoors in direct sunlight isn't an issue, opposed to the IPS screen being very hard to see in direct sunlight. Also, the screen on the Pocket has much better battery life than its IPS counterpart, making this console a great option in certain conditions. So that was the install of the TFT LCD screen mod kit for the Game Boy Pocket. I will put a link in the description below to where I got this kit if you're interested in picking one up. And if you decide to pick one up and have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to help you out. If you got value out of this video, do me a favor and smash like, as well as subscribe with bell notifications turned on for more content just like this. And lastly, if you would like to help me sustain this channel, check out my Patreon link in the description below. But until next time, Luke from 8-Bit Plus signing out, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless.